So let's continue now with our discussion on the limitations now on the state's power to tax. So previously we've discussed inherent limitations. And by the term inherent limitations, ibig sabihin, there is no need for a constitutional provision or an act of Congress no, in order to provide for these limitations. No? Upon the existence of the state, kung meron siyang inherent power to tax, meron din siyang kasamang inherent limitations. That means that the Congress, no, in enacting laws for the purpose of imposing taxes, they are subject to these limitations, even without an express grant no, from the Constitution. On the other hand, when we say constitutional limitations, these are limitations that are expressly provided for by the Constitution. Now, inherent limitations, no, these are restrictions that naturally stem from the nature of the taxing power. They exist independently of statutory or constitutional provisions, ensuring that the power to tax is exercised fairly and within reasonable grounds. So we've discussed no, in our previous meeting no, what are the inherent limitations. Number one is the that the power to tax no should be or can be resorted to only for a constitutionally valid public purpose. So that is the first inherent limitation that we have discussed previously. So by the same token, taxes may not be levied for purely private purposes, for building up of private fortunes or for the redress of private wrongs. So let's proceed now with this case of Planters Products Incorporated versus Fertifil Corporation to illustrate no, the public purpose requirement. So in this case, this involves the complainant Fertifil Corporation and defendant Fertilizer Pesticide Authority and Planters Products Incorporated. So ano bang nangyari dito na case? Fertifil filed a complaint against FPA and PPI demanding a refund in the amount of 6,689,144 pesos, representing the levy of capital recovery component imposed pursuant to the letter of instruction number 1465 issued by then President Ferdinand Marcos. So actually, yung LOI number 1465, kasi during the time of President Ferdinand Marcos, siya at the same time yung nag-i-issue ng mga laws. That's why yung laws natin during his time, ang tawag natin is presidential decrees, no? Hindi siya Republic Act. So part ng isa sa mga in-issue niya during that time is the LOI number 1465. And the contents of that letter of instruction is that the administrator of the Fertilizer Pesticide Authority mag-collect siya ng or include nila sa fertilizer pricing formula a capital contribution component of not less than 10 pesos per bag. So this capital contribution shall be collected until adequate capital is raised to make PPI viable. Such capital contribution shall be applied by FPA to all domestic sales of fertilizers in the Philippines. So ang nangyari is that nangongolekta sila ng 10 pesos per bag from private corporations no engaged in domestic sales of fertilizers in the Philippines. So 10 pesos per bag and then yung makokolekta nila ibibigay nila sa kay PPI. And PPI here is a private corporation also. Isa din siyang private corporation engaged in domestic sales of fertilizers in the Philippines. So the grounds that were raised no, in the complaint for its unconstitutionality is that it is unjust, unreasonable, oppressive, invalid, and an unlawful imposition that amounted to a denial of due process of law. Fertifil alleged that the LOI solely favored PPI a privately owned corporation which used the proceeds to maintain its monopoly of the fertilizer industry, thus violating the inherent limitation that taxes should be levied only for public purpose. So parang reklamo nila, bakit kayo nangolekta sa amin tapos ibibigay nyo sa PPI? Yung PPI privately owned yan na corporation. So hindi siya for public purpose. Yung imposition na ginagawa under LOI number 1465 is not for public purpose. Yan yung reklamo ni Fertifil. Now, the defenses raised by the defendants are the following. Number one, wala daw legal standing si Fertifil. Second, the RTC has no jurisdiction to rule on the constitutionality of a law. And third is the valid exercise of police power. Sabi ng FPA at PPI, it was not an exercise of taxation power, but an exercise of police power. Therefore, hindi applicable yung grounds na ni-raise ni Fertifil. Ngayon, let's not discuss now those other grounds because hindi yun part ng ating subject. Mag-dwell tayo on the third ground, no? Valid exercise of police power. Is it correct? Correct ba yun na sabi ng FPA at PPI, it is a valid exercise of police power. Hindi siya taxation power, no? So, therefore, hindi pwedeng invoke yung inherent limitation of public purpose. Now, what was the ruling of the Supreme Court? Police power and the power of taxation are inherent powers of the state. These powers are distinct and have different tests for validity. Police power is the power of the state to enact legislation that may interfere with personal liberty or property in order to promote the general welfare, while the power of taxation is the power to levy taxes to be used for public purpose. The main purpose of police power is the regulation of a behavior or conduct, while taxation is revenue generation. So, ano ba yung mga example natin ng police power? Examples niyan is driver's license, for example. No? You are required to secure a driver's license para you can travel or you can drive a vehicle in public highways. Di ba yan yung example ng police power? The lawful subjects and lawful means tests are used to determine the validity of a law enacted under the police power. The power of taxation, on the other hand, is circumscribed by inherent and constitutional limitations. So magkaiba yung kanilang limitations. We agree with the RTC that the imposition of the levy was an exercise by the state of its taxation power. So sabi ng Supreme Court dito, hindi siya exercise of police power. It is an exercise of taxation power, guised as a police power. Parang ganon. While it is true that the power of taxation can be used as an implement of police power, the primary purpose of the levy is revenue generation. It will be explained later, no? If the purpose is primarily revenue, kung yung purpose ng imposition is to collect money para marami tayong pera, no? Maraming pera yung government, then or if revenue is at least one of the real and substantial purposes, tapos yung regulation is merely secondary to it, then the exaction is properly called a tax. The 10 pesos levy under LOI number 1465 is too excessive to serve a mere regulatory purpose. So there is this principle, no, in police power na when you say regulation, dapat it must only the collection must only be to the extent, no, to the extent of recovering the cost of regulation. So yan yung principle natin when we say regulatory fees. Dapat hindi siya ganun ka-excessive. Dapat the agency that imposes it, yung kanilang purpose is merely to recover the cost of regulation, the cost of maintenance. Hindi with the end view of raising income, profit, or revenue. So kung yung fees na inimpose natin is more than the cost of regulation, so that is no longer regulatory. hindi na siya nagsiserve ng regulatory purpose but revenue purpose. So in that case, the imposition is not only regulatory but also revenue generate. Ang purpose niya is not only regulatory but revenue generation, and therefore it now becomes a tax. Isa na siyang tax, hindi na siya an exercise, a mere exercise of police power. So since the Supreme Court here finds that the 10 pesos collection per bag, no, is too excessive, no, to serve a mere regulatory purpose, the levy no doubt was a big burden on the seller or the ultimate consumer. So the levy was considered a tax, not an exercise of police power. It increased the price of a bag of fertilizer by as much as 5%. A plain reading of the LOI also supports the conclusion that the levy was for revenue generation. The LOI expressly provided that the levy was imposed until adequate capital is raised to make PPI viable. Taxes are exacted only for a public purpose. The 10 pesos levy is unconstitutional because it was not for a public purpose. The levy was imposed to give undue benefit to PPI, and take note, PPI is a privately owned corporation. An inherent limitation on the power of taxation is public purpose. Taxes are exacted only for a public purpose. They cannot be used for purely private purposes or for the exclusive benefit of private persons. The reason for this is simple. The power to tax exists for the general welfare. Hence, implicit in its power is the limitation that it should be used only for a public purpose. It would be a robbery for the state to tax its citizens and use the funds generated for a private purpose. As an old United States case bluntly put it, to lay with one hand the power of the government on the property of the citizen, and with the other to bestow it upon favored individuals to aid private enterprises and build up private fortunes, is nonetheless a robbery because it is done under the forms of law and is called taxation. So previously we said that there is no specific definition for public purpose. It is an elastic concept that can be hammered to fit modern standards. Jurisprudence states that public purpose should be given a broad interpretation. It does not only pertain to those purposes which are traditionally viewed as essentially governmental functions. Diba sabi natin before na in order to qualify, no, as a public purpose, hindi talaga strict yung ating law or constitution na dapat lahat tayo maka-benefit dyan. No? Lahat tayo dapat equally, uniformly, lahat tayo nakaka-benefit. Hindi ganon yung ibig sabihin ng Constitution. Ang ibig sabihin ng Constitution is that the public money, pwede natin siyang gamitin for a public purpose for as long as majority or parang yung purpose niya is yung public would benefit from it, no? So hindi necessary na lahat tayo maka-benefit. Hindi ganoon yung ibig sabihin ng public purpose. In fact, we can use the public funds, no? Public money, yung money na kinokolekta, no, from taxes for in order to serve certain group of public certain group of people, no? Like for example, yung binibigay natin na benefit for the poor, yung mga MAIP, for example, no? Kayong anong yung MAIP niya? Yung mga parang subsidy for those who cannot afford health services, no? Private health services. So nagbibigay tayo ng subsidy sa mga local government units, no? Para doon nila kunin, no, yung mga hospitals, public hospitals. Kung merong hindi maka-afford ng health services, so kukunin natin dito sa fund na MAIFIP, di ba? Ano pa? Yung mga Low-cost housing. Sa low-cost housing, hindi naman lahat nakaka-avail, no? May mga citizens tayo na parang qualifications, no? Kung sino lang yung pwedeng mag-avail ng low-cost housing. 'Di ba? Relocation of illegal settlers. Hindi naman tayo lahat illegal settlers, 'di ba? So, selected lang din yung mga persons who are considered illegal settlers. So, binibigyan natin sila ng portion, no, of the public funds for them, no, for to relocate them. So it doesn't mean na hindi, dahil hindi lahat ang nakaka-benefit, hindi na siya for public purpose. So pwedeng yung purpose niya is to promote social justice, no? So meaning selected people, selected group of people, pero public pa rin. Kasi if you qualify sa kanilang requirements, then you can avail. So that's the meaning of public purpose. So hindi siya strictly na equally lahat tayo makakaano kasi limited lang naman yung money ng government, limited yung sources ng government, yung kanilang collection, and therefore kailangan nila i-maximize yan in order to serve, no, the public, especially those who have less in life, 'di ba? So parang doon napupunta yung ating contribution sa government. Pero it doesn't mean na na-defeat niya yung purpose niya for being yung public purpose niya. While the categories of what may constitute a public purpose are continually expanding in light of the expansion of government functions, the inherent requirement that taxes can only be exacted for a public purpose still stands. Public purpose is the heart of a tax law. When a tax law is only a mask to exact funds from the public when its true intent is to give undue benefit and advantage to a private enterprise, that law will not satisfy the requirement of public purpose, as in this case, no, of Planters Products Incorporated versus Fertifil Corporation. So in this case, at the end, no, the Supreme Court ordered, no, the refund of the 6.6 million that was paid by Fertifil, no, to the FPA and PPI. Now next case, Bagat Singh versus Ramirez, GR number L-41631, December 17, 1976. The entrusting of the collection of the fees does not destroy the public purpose of the ordinance. So long as the purpose is public, it does not matter whether the agency through which the money is dispensed is public or private. The right to tax depends upon the ultimate use, purpose, and object for which the fund is raised. It is not dependent on the nature or character of the person or corporation whose intermediate agency is to be used in applying it. The people may be taxed for a public purpose, although it be under the direction of an individual or private corporation. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Meron kasing case na, kumbaga, merong contract yung government tsaka yung private corporation. Ang contract nila is yung private corporation yung magko-collect ng tax. So, let's say for example, right now, 'di ba, the BIR parang meron silang contract with, for example, GCash. Na yung payment natin to the BIR, pwede nating bayaran through GCash. So, does it defeat, no, the public purpose of the imposition of tax just because we entered into a contract with a private corporation for the collection of the tax? So this case actually instruct us that it will not destroy the public purpose, no, of the law, no, by the mere fact that the collection of the taxes was through a private entity or a private corporation. So yung yung kumbaga yung test na gagamitin natin is para saan ba yung nakolekta. Hindi naman siya gagamitin ng GCash for its own private purpose. Eventually, GCash will remit the amount collected to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. So therefore, hindi na-defeat yung public purpose ng imposition of tax just because it is collected by a private corporation. So yan lang naman ang principle in this case. Now, in Pascual versus Secretary of Public Works, no, in GR number L-10405, December 29, 1960, dito siya is, sabi ng Supreme Court, incidental advantage to the public which results from the promotion of private interests and the prosperity of private enterprises or businesses does not justify their aid by using public money. Moreover, the statute's validity must be tested based on facts existing at the time and not subsequent to its enactment. Since due process clause injects the non-excessive limitation, the public purpose requirement also implicates the fiscal adequacy principle. So ano bang nangyari, no, in the case of Pascual? In this case of Pascual kasi versus Secretary of Public Works, merong ano dito, parang subdivision, a private subdivision owned by a senator. Ngayon, merong law, hindi ko pala nasali dito yung case, no? Merong law na ipinasa yung Congress na nag-appropriate sila ng funds for the construction of a feeder road or of feeder roads, no? In a private property owned by a certain senator. So ngayon, yung local government unit, I think that was a province, no? In the said place. I forgot the province, no? Nagreklamo ngayon yung governor. Nag-file sila ng complaint, no? Raising questioning the constitutionality of that Republic Act, that law, appropriating a sum of money, no, for the construction of feeder roads on a private property. So, ngayon sabi ng senator na para i-prove nila na it is for public purpose, nag-present sila ng donation, deed of donation. But the deed of donation, it was donated daw to the national government. Kaya lang, the deed of donation was executed subsequent to the enactment of the law. Meaning, at the time when the law was enacted, wala pang deed of donation. So, at the time when it was enacted, it remained a private property. So, later, naggawa sila ng deed of donation, dinonate daw nila sa national government. So, ngayon, ang ruling ng Supreme Court dyan sa case is that it is not for public purpose, sabi ng Supreme Court. Although sabihin natin may makadaan dyan na mga persons, na mga people or public, pero since it will be constructed on a private property, hindi siya for public purpose kasi yung end goal ng construction is really not to promote public interest but to promote private interest. Why? Because sino ba yung naka-benefit dahil sa construction ng mga feeder roads? Di ba yung subdivision, yung private subdivision owned by the senator? Meaning to say, hindi na siya magastos ng roads doon sa kanyang subdivision kasi ang government na yung pinagastos niya. So, therefore, imbis na gastusin ng subdivision yan ng let's say construction company, no, involved, no, or yung may-ari ng subdivision, 'di ba? Imbis na siya yung gagastos ng construction ng mga roads diyan sa kanyang subdivision, ibinigay niya doon sa parang nag-take advantage siya, no? Doon sa sa pagiging senator niya, nakakuha siya ng fund para in the guise of saying na it's for public purpose kasi lahat naman ng tao na dadaan dito, ng mga tao na gustong dumaan dito, they are allowed naman to pass through these roads. So yun yung kanyang explanation. Pero sabi ng Supreme Court, hindi siya incidental advantage to the public daw, which results from promotion of private interest, does not justify, no, their aid by using public money. So it was not for public purpose. Next, inherently legislative, we've already discussed this, no? That the power of the Congress to tax cannot be delegated as a general rule. Pero meron siyang exception to the rule. Territoriality and status of taxation. Yan, so tapos na tayo dyan. So International Committee, additional discussion lang. Article 2, this is the legal basis, no? Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land. So based on the principle of pacta sunt servanda, it demands that the performance in good faith of treaty obligations on the part of the states that enter into the agreement. Every treaty in force is binding upon the parties, and obligations under their treaty must be performed in good faith. More importantly, treaties have the force and effect of law in this jurisdiction. So let's take up this case of Commissioner of Internal Revenue versus Mitsubishi Metal Corporation, GR number L-54908, January 22, 1990. So what happened in this case? So Atlas and Mitsubishi, these are corporations, no? Mga corporations ito sila. Disputed withholding tax on interest payments claiming exemption under the tax code. Ano kasi, yung Atlas, it is a domestic corporation, no? So, Philippine corporation yung Atlas. On the other hand, yung Mitsubishi, it is a foreign corporation. It is a Japanese corporation engaged in business in the Philippines. Ngayon, merong contract ang Atlas tsaka Mitsubishi. May contract sila, no, with each other. Ang contract nila is that si Atlas, mag-utang siya kay Mitsubishi. May loan siya, magkuha siya ng loan kay Mitsubishi. Si Mitsubishi, mag-lend siya ng loan kay Atlas. Ganun yung kanilang contract. So, parang hindi na-discuss ito, no? Okay. So, ako na lang summarize ko na lang. So, ngayon, si Mitsubishi, ngayon, enter siya into a separate agreement with a certain bank, no? A foreign bank, no? In Japan, no? A Japanese bank. So, of course, so again, merong contract si Atlas saka si Mitsubishi. Ang contract nila na si Mitsubishi, i-finance niya. Meron siyang i-finance na project, no, kay Atlas. Tapos, so mag-finance siya. So merong loan agreement silang dalawa. Tapos magbayad si Atlas. Tapos yung kanyang ma-produce niya nga product from that project, ibebenta niya ngayon kay Mitsubishi. Parang ganun yung kanilang agreement. Yan yung first agreement. Ngayon, yung Mitsubishi, meron siyang separate agreement with a foreign Japanese bank. Okay? So ngayon, yung BIR, kasi itong BIR, lahat tinitingnan nila, no? Pag may makita sila na possible na i-tax, ita-tax talaga nila yan. So ngayon, merong assessment na lumabas. Nag-assess ngayon yung BIR ng deficiency tax or ng withholding tax on interest payments. Sabi ni Mitsubishi, exempted dapat ako. Bakit? Exempted dapat yung interest income from withholding tax from income tax. Kasi yung reliance niya is from Section 29B7A. Sabi dyan, income received from their investments in the Philippines in loans, stocks, bonds, or other domestic securities, or from interest on their deposits in banks in the Philippines by foreign government, financing institutions owned, controlled, or enjoying refinancing from them, and international or regional financing institution established by governments, exempted daw yan, excluded from the gross income, and therefore hindi siya subject sa income tax. So yan yung kanyang nire-raise na exempted dapat, hindi dapat kami subject to income tax kasi I am an agent of the foreign Japanese bank. So, agent lang ako ni foreign Japanese bank. And by virtue of international committee, hindi dapat tinatax yung mga foreign investments, no? Or foreign institutions, sabi niya. So ngayon, the principal issue, no, in both petitions is whether or not the interest income from the loans extended to Atlas by Mitsubishi is excludable from gross income taxation pursuant to Section 29 B7A of the Tax Code and therefore exempt from withholding tax. Apropos thereto, the focal question is whether or not Mitsubishi is a mere conduit of Exim Bank. Exim Bank pala yung tawag ng, yung name ng bank, which will then be considered as the creditor whose investments in the Philippines on loans are exempt from taxes under the code. So ano ang ruling ng Supreme Court? It is too settled a rule in this jurisdiction as to dispense with the need for citations that laws granting exemption from tax are construed strictissimi juris, meaning strictly against the taxpayer and liberally in favor of the taxing power. Taxation is the rule and exemption is the exception. The burden of proof rests upon the party claiming exemption to prove that it is in fact covered by the exemption so claimed, which onus petitioners have failed to discharge. So, basically, sabi lang ng Supreme Court na since this is a tax exemption, it is strictly construed against the taxpayer. So, kung ikaw ay nagkiklaim ng tax exemption, ikaw yung mag-prove na you are exempted from the tax. Pero here, the claimant failed to discharge the burden. Significantly, private respondents are not even among the entities which under Section 29B 7A of the Tax Code are entitled to exemption and which should indispensably be the party in interest in this case. Definitely, the taxability of a party cannot be blandly glossed over on the basis of a supposed broad pragmatic analysis alone without substantial supportive evidence, lest governmental operations suffer due to diminution of much needed funds. Nor can we close this discussion without taking cognizance of petitioners' warning of pervasive relevance at this time, that while international committee is invoked in this case on the nebulous representation that the funds involved in the loans are those of a foreign government, kasi sabi niya na yung money na ginamit ko para ipa-lend to Atlas comes from a foreign government, no? From Exim Bank, which is a foreign-owned, no? Foreign government-owned, no? Sabi ni Mitsubishi. Scrupulous care must be taken to avoid opening the floodgates to the violation of a tax laws. Otherwise, the mere expedient of having a Philippine corporation enter into a contract for loans or other domestic securities with private foreign entities, which in turn will negotiate independently with their governments, could be availed of to take advantage of the tax exemption law under discussion. Parang the Supreme Court says na parang there is an indirect, parang ganon, no? Kanang parang, ay, hanggang dun lang pala. So, sabi dito, explain ko na lang anong naging parang findings ng Supreme Court, no, using the principle, no, of international committee. Sabi ng Supreme Court na walang evidence that would support na merong agreement between Atlas and Exim Bank. So walang agreement daw between Atlas and Exim Bank. In fact, there were two separate agreements. So one between Atlas and Mitsubishi, and the other one is between Mitsubishi and Exim Bank. So therefore, hindi makonect ngayon ng Supreme Court yung defense ni Mitsubishi na it was a grant from a foreign government. It was a loan parang given by a foreign government para ma-invoke natin yung international committee. Kasi nga, there were two separate agreements. So, meaning to say, yung tax na inimpose ng national government was the tax imposed on the interest income on the interest income arising from the loan between Atlas and Mitsubishi, not between Mitsubishi and the Exim Bank. Yan yung sabi ng Supreme Court. So therefore, since even if Mitsubishi is a foreign corporation, it is a private entity, no? Hindi siya government, hindi siya foreign government, and therefore subject siya sa jurisdiction ng Pilipinas, no, with respect to income taxation. In fact, di ba, we have provisions, no, in our NIRC that subjects foreign corporations, no, to tax. So, yan yung sabi ng Supreme Court. The agreement between Atlas and Mitsubishi is independent from the agreement between Mitsubishi and Exim Bank. So, therefore, hindi niya pwedeng i-connect yun siya para ma-invoke niya yung exemption, no, of international or exemption of parang foreign institutions or foreign governments. So yan yung explanation ng Supreme Court in CIR versus Mitsubishi. So another principle here, par in parem non habet imperium, which means that a sovereign cannot exercise jurisdiction over another sovereign.